Hello young gamers, today we're gonna have the Row 96. Residents of Petria are preparing for the presidential election. There are only two candidates, the current ruler Hitchhike, the surname is not just consonant in with the word tyrant, and Flores, who can lead the country to a bright future. The teenagers, realizing that Hitchhike will again unfairly win, try to flee the country. They left their families in the hope that they will be able to cross the border. But will it succeed? And will they be able to change the consequences of the people before the hour X comes? The player will have to answer this question in Row 96. When I talked about the game with the creative director Jon Fanis last year, he promised a vibrant emotional adventure with memorable characters. Everything is really so, and even his words that this is not a movie with only dialogues were confirmed. Over the past month, this is only a few games in which I was interested in everything before the final. The gameplay tricks and the situations in which the heroes will find themselves. And the final. The disadvantages became apparently later, but more about them later. The game is divided into the 6 parts, each of which lasts about an hour. In all of us, we manage different teenagers and go a long way from the starting point to the finish line. The very border. The outcome can be different, either you manage to escape or the character will be killed, or he will be handcuffed. My first passage was quite successful, all the guys managed to leave the country except for one, but his death was not in vain. The adventures of teenagers turned out to be very divisive and rich. The scenes start in a random order, what someone will have in the first part of the game, another can happen at the end. In any case, you have to get acquainted with the all characters, of whom there are 8 and all very colorful. Reporter Sonia, for example, is a journalist from the propaganda TV channels GNN, who travels in a limousine with a personal driver. Young genius Alex is a hacker, developer and inventor enrolled into one. The gloomy type Jared is in raincoat and a hat smoking non-stop, frightened with his mispersons. You quickly become attacked to everyone, and everyone has either skeletons in the closet or emotional experiences. Even Sonia, who will essentially annoy most players at first, can evoke feelings over time with her story. In addition to well-written story, Road 96 has another undeniable merit, the characters. As started earlier, it is your casual fellow travelers, not the playable teenage runaways, who are the protagonists. There are 7 of them, and they are marked with the special icons in menu. In general, there are 8 of them, but 2 characters, the robbers Stan and Mitch, always come across only 2. They are the coolest dynamic duo of bandits in Petria. Each of the heroes has a little less than a dozen plot episodes, from which your next adventure is randomly assembled. All of them are usually associated with the mode of the travel. let's say the first time you were hitchhiked by a kind trucker, after which you caught a ride a television star, and later you stopped at a motel where you were caught by a female police officer. The second time you will meet the bandits on the motorcycle, after which you hang with the star from the first playthrough. Yourself give a lift to same trucker in the car you stole, meet a new hero, a genius boy who assembled a laptop-style laptop on his own 1996. Trucker John is insanely kind, hairy thug who is really to help all children and give a couple of valuable advices. Even if he is crushed by some kind of sadness from the past, police officer Funny is a strict but kind woman who worries about her runaway son. Stan and Mitch are 2 outright idiots who pretended to be the greatest criminals in the Petria history. Naturally, they have practically not a single successful robbery, but they have a very rich experience. For me personally, the main star of the show is Jared, a mysterious man with a cigarette, a felt hat, and an unhealthy fixation on the dinosaurs. At the same time, you want to talk about him for an hour's not telling, so as not to spoil your surprise. I can only say one thing: order a taxi more often if you want to cross him. Jared got perhaps the most interesting and intense episode of the game, if you only because they have a real risk of dying before arriving at row 96. In other cases, it's most impossible. Since the choice of lines mainly affected in the ending, you hardly see the consequences as you progress. The same dialogues that follow the same scenario regardless of your actions, the same minigames with identical conditions. You can't skip or rewind anything, so the second playthrough turns into a routine. You don't want to repeat everything again in order to see an alternative ending. The description of the game on Steam promises thousands of roads, but this does not mean that Road 96 will be different every time. This does not make the game bad, it's just that is more disposable than encouraging to replay it. And this is very exciting adventure with a great story, cute characters and a great music in a split of hits from the 80s. But there is a suspicion that those who are waiting for Road 96 are actually waiting for the wrong game. It is far from being as non-linear as it might seem. Well, you can't do without the traditional paragraph about how bad the Switch version is. That is only console that the Road 96 comes on up. And the one would expect the handled version to make more time. But now the frame rate drops in the seconds seen. Downloads are long and it's hard to get rid of the feeling that game is about to fall apart and crash within an era. Better to stick with the computer version, otherwise headers and guaranteed. Row 96 both pleased and upset. The first playthrough leaves extremely positive emotions, and intriguing story is gradually overgrown with the details that you expect, and all this is accompanied by solid and varied gameplay. You even forgive the plot for unrealistic consequences, it's more exciting with them. But as much as desire to replay the game after the credit it is just as boring to do it. Thank you for the attention. Today is all for today, obviously. Don't you guys forget to comment, to subscribe and push those bells so you get notified when my video is up. Thank you. Have a good one. Bye.